Hello and welcome to the Dinosaur for week 42, another 7 curious, interesting things I saw last week. So as ever, let's crack on. First one is re-rendering computer games using AI. This isn't necessarily new, but this is the latest version of it using Runway ML's 3 video-to-video feature they just launched. And this is using GTA 4. And as you can see, it swaps around a little bit, but on one side, you've got a computer video, in this case on the right-hand side. And then you can see as it's run through this filter, you can then see it on the left-hand side, re-rendered as such. Now, this is generally trying to make it look like the same, but you can actually render it in any way you want. You can make it look like a Disney film or maybe Tron or whatever you want to do. So it's just interesting that maybe in the future you don't necessarily have to render fully a game, so the polygon count doesn't really matter. You just have to give a video input, something like this, and it can render whatever you like. So that's kind of funky. So well done to Soundtrick for that example. This was spotted by Patently Apple, and it is a patent by Apple, obviously. And it is a 360-degree augmented reality projecting light bulb. Of course it is. So this is actually granted, and as you can see from the figure 4, it's a light bulb form, and you put it in your little light bulb thing above you, and it projects onto your walls, your ceiling, your floor, and any surfaces you have as well. They say in here that it's for people who can't or don't want to wear or don't have augmented/virtual reality headsets, and as you can see from figure 9, there's somebody in the room with a headset, somebody without, and they can both enjoy an experience together. But there you go. It's a difference. They have high resolution and low resolution projectors within this little light bulb, and it can then split up the bits that you need to look at in the high resolution projectors and vice versa. There you go. Interesting. Robot news. Haven't done robot news for a while, and we have a new bipedal humanoid robot running speed record. There are other robots that run quicker, but this is a humanoid one. And this is from Robot Era in China, and they have their Star 1 robot. It can run pretty quick anyway, and they discovered if you put trainers on it, running shoes, sneakers, whatever you want to call them, then it can actually run a little bit faster as well. And there's lots of comparison videos in this video here. And it can run 3.6 meters per second, which is about 8 miles per hour in old money. And also it can do that for 35 minutes. Now I worked that out, and that's quicker. I can run a 5K in about 24 minutes. So this will carry on essentially, but it can also run it quicker than I can as well. So for the first time, one of these robots can now outrun me, essentially catch me up. And obviously with its robot dog with guns on, do whatever it wants. So there you go. Interesting speed records. And it's taken that from the Unitree H1 robot. So back at you. This is an interesting story that's in America. And it's sort of nothing, but also it's an interesting conversation. So this is a US senator who is commenting on grocery store or chain Kroger in the US, who are the largest US grocery chain. They have lots of brands. And they are saying that they're going to put these electronic shelf labels into their stores, which can obviously change, well, not obviously, but what they can do is they can change the price and the details on them live. It uses like Kindle e-ink stuff. So that's that. But they're also going to put in facial recognition, and therefore the senator's going, well, hang on a minute, if you join the two together, that will enable surge pricing in the supermarket. So if you recognize obviously data like the day of the week or the weather, as well as the types of people that are looking at the shelf at that time, it might allow them to change the price. Now, of course, Kroger are saying, well, that's absurd. We're not going to do that ever. But, it's an interesting conversation about surge pricing in real stores using this sort of technology. Never thought of that before, and that's kind of interesting. Also interesting is, how do you solve the problem of AI power? AI takes a huge amount of power and water, by the way. However, most people are saying, well, we can then make it more efficient, and lots of ways of making smaller models, more specific models, so you don't have to actually grind these big models. However, Google have got another version of it, is they're going to just actually make nuclear power stations. So I think it's the first sort of public commercial deal with a nuclear power creator. So this is Kairos Power, and they have small nuclear power stations, and they're going to fit a bunch of these in the US. They can generate 500 megawatts of power, and they're going to get the first one installed by 2030, and there's going to be more up to 2050, and they're going to sort of generate a bunch of stuff. They've also said that clearly making these things is going to generate a bunch of jobs as well, which I thought was interesting. So if everybody is losing their jobs through AI, then obviously you need to be also building power stations, which is generating jobs. But there you go. I thought that was kind of interesting. Also, by the way, the technology technology of these power stations is kind of funky, because they have the nuclear power thing. It heats up salt, and it heats up salt to such a point that molten salt happens, and then that turns water into steam, and then it powers the steam turbine. So normal or old school reactors usually just turn the nuclear power stuff into steam directly. So they're using molten salt. Interesting for people like me. Penguin Random House have said no to AI, or at least they've updated their copyright statement. So this is actually what they're now putting in their digital media and also on their books. So no part of this book may be used or reproduced in any manner for a purpose of training artificial intelligence technologies or systems. Likewise, they're opting out of text for data mining. So they're kind of interesting. Now, this is not in itself legally binding, because obviously you sit below something like GDPR, who then will dictate whether something is copyright or not. Especially in the UK right now, the government are deciding whether they are going to overthrow the principle of copyright for training AIs, which I think is kind of dangerous. But there you go. Interesting. This shows you where big publishers, who maybe a couple of months ago you'd have said, if you sit on a trove of data, you're on a really good position with AI, and actually they're saying, no, actually we recognize if we give this away, then we have no copyright really, because we'll just be basically at the bottom of the pile at that point. So interesting where big publishers may be going with all of this. And finally, we have Shazam. It did take me quite a while to figure out what on earth was going on here. It is a different Shazam. It's not the music Shazam. This is a pet collar, and it gives your pet a personality. You can have a conversation with your pet. Now, it doesn't actually listen to your pet. It doesn't convert meows and woofs into conversation. It's not a translator as such, but it sort of is. So it uses things like your diary, your voice, so it understands. It's got AI in it, basically. It knows where you are, what day of the week. It can locate you in the park. So it can come up with plausible conversations. If you say to your dog, do you want to come for the trip with me? But it knows it's a Tuesday. It knows it's 9 in the morning. You're just about to go to work. The dog will go, well, you're going to work, I'll stay here and guard the house, I'll see you when you get back. It's a plausible conversation from the data it has. Likewise, if you're in the park and you've got a little dog and it knows it's a little dog and it knows you've already run around for 3 hours, and you say to the dog, hey, do you want to do another run? It'll say, look, actually, do you know what, I'm tired, I'm probably over-exercised, I should go for a rest. All plausible because of the data. So if you want one of these collars, it works for cats and dogs. You just choose the different voice, and you can choose all the personalities, whether they're sort of comedic or, whatever. And it will cost you about $500 if you want one. There you go. Interesting Shazam collars for pets using AI. Hopefully it was interesting. Hopefully it was useful. Hope you liked it. If so, give it a like, share it with somebody awesome, and I'll see you next week.